The night was quiet in the great spaceport city. Neon lights flashed, ships rose and landed. Traders shouted their prices, and crowds of aliens moved from one place to another. But in all that noise and light, one small figure walked unnoticed. Her name was Lyra, and she believed she was invisible. Lyra was not invisible in the way machines could measure. Cameras still caught her shape, and scanners could detect her heartbeat. But to the eyes of every alien around her, she was unseen. No one ever looked at her. No one ever answered her when she spoke. No one even moved when she bumped into them. It was as if the universe had decided she did not exist. Since her childhood, Lyra had lived like this. She had cried to her parents, but they did not hear her. She had screamed in the marketplace, but no one turned. She had begged for food, but no hand reached out. So she learned to survive by stealing scraps, hiding in shadows, and moving between the blind gazes of others. Her gift, or her curse, kept her alone. On this night, she stood near the cargo docks, her stomach empty. Watching a crate of glowing fruits being unloaded, she knew the guards would never notice her. She stepped forward, quick, silent, and reached for one. Her hand touched the smooth skin of the fruit, cold under her fingers. She lifted it slowly, her eyes wide with hunger. But then something strange happened. A voice spoke, soft but clear. "Hungry, aren't you?" Lyra froze, her heart racing, her eyes darting left and right. The guards had not moved. The aliens unloading the crates kept working, but one figure, tall, broad-shouldered, stood a few steps away, a human, and his eyes were looking directly at her. She dropped the fruit. It rolled across the ground, glowing faintly. She stumbled back, whispering in fear. You can see me?" The man tilted his head, his eyes calm, his mouth pulling into a small smile. "Of course I can see you. I've been watching you for days, little shadow." Her throat tightened. No one had ever spoken to her like that. No one had ever noticed her at all. She wanted to run, but her legs would not move. Her mind screamed at her, "This is impossible. No one can see me. No one ever has." The human crouched down slowly, keeping his hands where she could see them. "Don't be afraid. I'm not here to hurt you. I just want to know. Why do you hide?" Lyra shook her head, trembling. "I don't hide. They hide from me. I am nothing to them. I am invisible." Her voice cracked, heavy with years of pain. The man's eyes softened. "Invisible? No, you are here. You are real. I can see your eyes. I can hear your voice." He placed a hand gently on the ground, not moving closer, but steady. "Maybe others ignore you, but I won't." Tears burned at the edges of her vision. She bit her lip hard, trying to keep them back. She wanted to believe him, but every part of her life had taught her not to. "Who are you?" she whispered, her voice barely more than a breath. "My name is David," he said simply. "I'm just a traveler, but when I came here I saw you, walking alone in the crowd, and I wondered why no one else did." Lyra's hands shook. She hugged herself, feeling exposed in a way she had never felt before. "If he can see me, then I am no longer safe," she thought, her mind racing. "If he can see me, maybe others will too." But deep inside her chest, beneath the fear, there was something else, something warm, a fragile hope. A hope that maybe, just maybe, she was not as cursed as she believed. The sound of boots echoed suddenly, sharp and heavy. A group of armored aliens marched past, scanning the area with bright red lights. Bounty hunters, searching for someone. Lyra shrank back, pressing against the wall, her power wrapping around her like a shield. She prayed they would pass. David's eyes flicked to her. He could still see her. Even when she thought she had faded, he gave a small nod, calm and steady, as if telling her without words, "You are not alone anymore." Her heart pounded, louder than the hunter's boots, louder than the ship engines, louder than her fear. For the first time in her life, someone had looked at her, truly looked, and seen everything. And in that moment, the invisible girl realized her world was about to change forever. The night wind carried the sound of engines fading into the distance. The cargo dock slowly emptied, but Lyra's mind was louder than any ship. She could not believe it. A human had looked at her, spoken to her, seen her, She pressed her back against the cold metal wall, heart still racing. David stood a few steps away, calm, his eyes steady on her, as if he had all the time in the world. He did not chase her. He did not shout. He simply waited, like a teacher waiting for a frightened child to speak. Finally, Lyra whispered, her voice trembling. How? How can you see me? No one ever sees me. No one ever hears me. But you. David's smile was faint but sure, his eyes carrying something old. Yes, something she could not name. Because, little one, humans are different. We were taught to notice what others ignore, to see the world not only with eyes but with heart. Lyra shook her head violently. No, that's not true. I tested it thousands of times. I screamed in the markets. I cried in the temples. I even stood in front of the king's soldiers. And none of them looked at me, not one. David crouched slowly again, his hands resting on his knees. Maybe they didn't, but I did, and I have a reason. His voice dropped lower, almost secret. There's something about you that connects. To me, something hidden, but powerful. Her skin prickled. Fear and curiosity mixing together. She wanted to run, yet her feet stayed locked in place. She asked softly, "What do you mean? What reason?" David leaned back slightly, looking up at the stars above the port, glowing white and blue. Humans have a sense, not magic, not technology, but something older. We feel presence. We notice movement in silence. We know when someone watches us. It has kept us alive for thousands of years. He looked back at her, eyes sharp but kind. And when I first arrived on this planet, I felt you before I saw you. Lyra's lips parted in shock. She had thought she was nothing, a shadow forgotten by the universe. But this man spoke as if she mattered, as if her existence had weight. "You lie," she said, her voice small. "You say pretty words, but I know the truth. I am cursed. My people cast me away. I walk, I eat scraps, I sleep under broken roofs. No one loves me, no one sees me, and if hunters find me, they will take me apart." Piece by piece, David's face darkened, his calm voice turning firm. Hunters. Her eyes flickered nervously. She pulled her arms tighter around herself. They search for me. They know my power. They want to use it or cut it out of me. I've been running for years. For a long moment, David was silent. Only the hum of the spaceport engines filled the air. Then he said with a voice that felt like iron, "Then you won't run alone anymore." Lyra stared at him, her heart pounding in her ears. "Why? Why would you help me? You don't even know me. I am nothing." He gave her a look so steady, so heavy, felt like a weight pressing against her chest, because I know what it feels like to be unseen, to be ignored, to scream and have no one answer. I once lived that life too. The words sank into her like arrows. Her breath caught. She whispered, You were invisible too?" David's lips curved into a faint smile, but his eyes carried pain, not in the way you are, but yes. I know the silence of being unwanted. I know the weight of being overlooked, but I also know how to fight it. And I will teach you. Her legs trembled, her voice barely there. "Teach me." "What can you teach me? I only know how to hide." David's expression sharpened, his voice stronger, then learned to stop hiding. "You have a gift, but you've only used it to vanish. What if you used it to stand in the open? What if you used it to fight back?" The thought shook her. Her mind spun. Fight back. With what? "I am weak. I am nothing, but deep inside." A spark lit. Before she could answer, heavy footsteps thundered again. Shadows flickered across the wall. The same hunters returned, their scanners glowing red, searching the alleys, searching the docks. Their voices growling through metal masks. David's eyes hardened. He turned to Lyra, speaking quick and low. "They're close. Listen to me. Don't disappear. If you vanish, they'll feel your trail. Stay with me. Trust me." Lyra's body shook. Every instinct screamed at her to vanish, to melt into nothingness. But David's eyes pinned her, grounding her, holding her. For the first time, she didn't fade. She stayed, trembling but present as the hunters marched past, their lights sliding over the crates, their helmets turning slowly, and all the while, David's hand hovered close, not touching but ready, a promise of protection, when the hunters finally moved on, fading into the deeper streets. Lyra gasped, her knees weak. She almost collapsed. But David caught her shoulder gently. "See?" he whispered. "You don't have to be invisible. Not with me." And in that moment, Lyra felt something she had not felt in years: safety. Fragile but real, she looked at him, and for the first time in her life, she believed she might not be cursed after all. The storm broke at dawn. Thunder rolled across the alien sky. Lightning lit up the city's silver towers, and the rain poured down heavy and cold. Lyra sat under a broken awning, water dripping from her tangled hair, her knees pulled to her chest, her eyes staring at the puddles forming on the ground. The reflection that stared back was thin, tired, and almost ghost-like. She hated it. She hated herself. David stood nearby, silent, leaning against the wall, his arms crossed, watching her. With steady eyes, he had not left her side since the hunters passed. He had not asked for food or sleep. He just stayed. And that unsettled her even more than the storm. Finally, Lyra broke the silence. Her voice sharp, almost bitter. "You don't understand, human. You don't know what I am. You don't know what it means to be cursed." David tilted his head. "Calm, then tell me." Her nails dug into her arms, her voice trembling but fierce. "My gift is not a blessing. It is poison. When I was a child, my people thought I was a spirit. They feared me. Mothers pulled their children away. Priests said I was a shadow that brought bad luck, and my own parents." She stopped, her throat tightening, tears mixing with the rain. "They stopped calling my name. They acted as if I had never been born." The words struck heavy. David's jaw clenched, but he did not interrupt. He let her spill the weight she had carried. "For years I tried to speak, to laugh, to sing, but no one looked, no one listened. I was alone even when I stood in a crowd, so I learned to steal, to survive, to vanish, because what else could I do? My gift is useless. Worse than useless, erased me." Her voice cracked at the last word, echoing like a wound in the storm. For a long moment, only rain answered her. Then David spoke, his tone low and steady. "You call it useless, but I call it rare. Do you know how many soldiers, how many spies, how many kings would give their lives for what you have? The problem is not your gift, Lyra. The problem is that no one taught you how to use it." Her head jerked up, her eyes burning. "Use it? For what? To hide in gutters? To be chased like an animal? Tell me, human, what power is there in being unseen?" David stepped closer, kneeling so his eyes met hers, the rain dripping from his short dark hair. "The power to go where no one else can. The power to move when others are blind. The power to choose who sees you and who doesn't." His voice sharpened, each word like a hammer. "But you've only used it to escape, and never to fight." Lyra's breath caught, her anger faltering. A tiny flicker of thought whispered inside her. "Fight? Me?" But before she could answer, a sudden flash of red light cut through the rain. A hunter's scanner beam swept across the alley. David pulled Lyra back against the wall, shielding her with his body. The hunter's footsteps grew closer, metallic and heavy. Their voices crackled through. "Comes, the girl is near." The signal grows stronger. Lyra's heart stopped, her eyes wide with terror. "They can feel me even when I vanish." David's grip tightened on her wrist, his voice fierce. "Then stop vanishing. Stop running if they want your gift. Use it against them." The hunters turned into the alley, weapons raised, their red lights cutting through the storm. Lyra swallowed hard, her body trembling, but her mind burning with his words, her curse, her unwanted gift. Could it truly become something else? The storm raged, the hunters advanced, and for the first time in her life, the invisible girl thought of standing her ground. The alley went silent. The storm had ended, but silence was worse than thunder. No footsteps, no voices, only the soft hiss of broken neon signs flickering above. Lyra pressed her back to the wall, her breath shallow, every nerve in her body screaming. David stood in front of her, his posture tense, his hand close to the knife strapped at his side. He did not blink, did not shift. He was listening. Then Dash clicked. A sound too sharp, too deliberate. From the rooftops, from the shadows, hunters were near. We're not marching now. They were stalking. David's voice was a whisper, low and steady. They've changed tactics. They know you're close. They'll hunt you like predators, not soldiers. Lyra's blood ran cold. I told you, she breathed. They can. Smell me, even when I vanish. David's eyes flicked upward, catching a shimmer in the dark. For a moment, just a fraction of a second, shape appeared a tall, armored figure, crouched like a spider on the wall, red visor glowing. Then it melted back into the shadows. Lyra grabbed David's sleeve in panic. We can't fight them. They are too many, too trained. Always run, always. Not tonight, David cut her off, his voice firm like steel. Running is why they always find you. They expect fear. Let's give them something they don't. Expect another click echoed, closer this time. Then a whisper of metal sliding. One of the hunters dropped into the alley, silent as smoke, standing between the exit and them. Its mask gleamed, red light pulsing like a heartbeat. David's hand moved to his knife. But before he could act, Lyra's instincts flared. She felt the air around her shift, the way her body wanted to fade. But instead of hiding, she remembered, his words, use it to fight. The hunter raised its weapon, a long spear humming with energy. Its visor scanned the space, locking on to David. Lyra's body moved before her mind caught up. She stepped sideways into half-vanish, not fully visible either, a ghostly shimmer. The hunter's eyes slid past her, distracted. In that moment, David lunged. The clash was sudden and brutal. Steel against alien alloy. Sparks burst as David's knife struck the shaft of the spear. The hunter snarled behind its mask, shoving forward with inhuman strength. David staggered, but did not fall. His eyes burned with focus. Lyra stood frozen, half-faded, her heart hammering. She had always used her gift to hide, but now she realized she could blind the hunter. Its eyes couldn't lock onto her. Its sensors stuttered every time she shifted between visible and unseen. She stepped forward, trembling but determined. She brushed her hand across the hunter's visor. For a second, its red glow flickered, confused. That was enough. David's blade slashed upward, striking the joint in its armor. The hunter let out a guttural cry, collapsing against the wall. Lyra gasped, stumbling back to full visibility. Her chest heaved. She had done it not to vanish, but to turn her curse into a weapon. But before relief could reach her, a new sound came. Dozens of clicks, dozens of whispers. From every wall, every rooftop, more hunters. Red lights flickering in the dark like eyes of wolves. David tightened his grip on the knife, his jaw set. They'll keep coming, he muttered. They want you alive, Lyra's voice cracked. Then why don't you leave? Why stay with me? David looked at her sharply, his tone fierce. Because they don't see you as a person. But I do, and as long as I breathe, you will not face them alone. The hunters stepped closer, their red lights growing brighter, their shadows crawling down the walls like a nightmare. And in that tense heartbeat, Invisible Girl realized her fight had only just begun. The alley reeked of smoke and burning. Circuits, the first hunter's body still twitched, sparks leaking from its armor. The others had melted back into the darkness, circling, waiting. But Lyra wasn't looking at the hunters. She was staring at David, his eyes in the dim glow of shattered neon. His pupils glowed faintly, not with fire, not with machine light, but with something deeper, something alive. They followed her, even when she faded halfway, even when she melted, almost fully into invisibility. He still saw her. Every breath, every flicker, every heartbeat, your eyes. She whispered, her voice trembling. They don't look normal. David didn't answer at first. He shifted his stance, blade ready, scanning the rooftops, as if buying time. Finally, his voice came low, calm but heavy. Noticed. Lyra's chest tightened. Noticed? How could I not? When I vanish, when no one else sees me, you still track me. It's like you see more than my body. He glanced at her quickly, his eyes sharp, because I do. Her stomach twisted. What are you? Before David could reply, a hunter's shadow leapt from above. His knife moved like lightning, meeting the strike mid-air, sparks exploding in the rain-soaked alley. But even in the chaos, even while fighting, his eyes never left her. Every step she took, every twitch of her trembling hands he followed. She realized with a shiver that she couldn't hide from him, not ever. When the hunter fell broken at his feet, David finally spoke. His breathing was heavy, but his voice steady. Humans were always different, he said, eyes locked on. Our ancestors lived on a death world where everything wanted us dead. We had to evolve. We learned to notice what others ignored, to sense predators hiding in grass, to feel eyes watching us, to see movement in shadows. His gaze pierced her, glowing faintly in the dark, and some of us were born with sharper vision, eyes that cut through lies, through tricks, through walls. Lyra stepped back, shaking. You're saying you were born to see me, even when I don't want to be seen? David's jaw tightened. I'm saying I see you, Lyra, not just your outline, not just your body. I see the weight you carry, the pain you hide, the strength you don't know you have. I see all of it. Her breath hitched. No one had ever spoken to her like that. Not her parents. Not her people. No one. Tears burned her eyes, but before she could answer, dozens of red lights blinked back to life in the shadows. The hunters were closing in again. Tighter this time. Learning, adapting. David's hand gripped his knife tighter, but his eyes stayed locked on hers. Listen to me, he said, voice low but urgent. Your gift alone won't save us. My eyes alone won't stop them. But together your invisibility, my vision, we can break them. Lyra's hands shook violently. Fear screamed in her bones. But his eyes, glowing steady in the storm-dark alley, anchored her. For the first time in her life, she believed she wasn't a ghost. She was real, because someone saw her, really saw her. And as the hunter's shadows crept closer, Lyra whispered, almost to herself, then let them come. The hunters did not strike at once. They waited. They circled like wolves, their red visors glowing in the mist. And Lyra, for the first time in her life, did not vanish. She stood beside David, trembling, but visible, holding her ground. Then a voice cut through the night. A voice she knew. Lyra. Her breath froze. She turned her head slowly, her stomach twisting. From the far end of the alley, stepping out of the shadows, came a figure she recognized. Tall, cloaked, alien eyes sharp with silver light. Her brother Jaren, she whispered, her voice breaking. No, it can't be. He stopped only a few feet away, the rain dripping from his cloak, his face carved in stone. I told them where to find you. The words hit her harder than any hunter's weapon. Her knees weakened, her body swaying. You betrayed me. Jaren's eyes hardened. You were never meant to survive, Lyra. You are cursed. Our people were right to cast you out. The hunters, they see value in your power. They will take it, and finally, our shame will end. Her chest burned, her throat tight with grief. All her life she had believed she was forgotten, abandoned. She knew the truth. It was not silence. It was rejection, and it came from her own blood. David's knife gleamed in his hand, his body tense. He stepped forward, placing himself between her and Jaren. So this is the truth. You sold your sister to save your pride. Gosh, Jaren's gaze flicked to him. Filled with disgust. You human, you cannot understand. She was a wound in our family, a shadow that cursed our name. The hunters promised me freedom from her. All I had to do was lead them here. Lyra's tears mixed with rain. I begged you. I begged for you to see me. And all this time you saw me, but only as a stain. David's voice was cold as iron, his glowing eyes burning. Then you're the cursed one, not her. The hunters moved at Jaren's signal, closing in. Their weapons glowed, the alley filled with red light. But Lyra did not vanish. She stared at her brother, pain cutting her deeper than any blade. And in that pain, a truth awakened. Her gift had never erased her. It was not a curse, it was survival. It was strength. Her body shimmered, not fading into nothingness, but glowing faintly, half visible, half light. For the first time, she chose how she was seen. The hunters faltered, their visors glitching, their sensors confused. David's eyes widened with realization. "Lyra," he whispered, "you're not invisible, you're untouchable." Her brother stepped back, shock flickering in his silver eyes. What are you?" Lyra's voice shook, but not with fear, with power. "Not your curse, not your shame." "I am more than what you left behind," the hunters roared, charging. David raised his knife, and for the first time Lyra stepped forward, not to run, not to vanish, but to fight. The city did not sleep that night. From the rooftops, alarms wailed, hunters shouted orders through metallic combs, and red lights painted the rain-soaked streets. But in the center of that chaos stood two figures, one human. One, alien back to back, outnumbered but unbroken. Lyra's body glowed faintly, shimmering outline of half light and half shadow. She no longer vanished in fear. She chose her. Visibility. Hunters raised their weapons, but their sensors cracked, their visors glitched, unable to lock onto her. David's eyes glowed steady, tracking every move, guiding every strike. He fought like a man born in battle, each slash of his blade sharp, precise, and unrelenting. But he was not just fighting the hunters, he was fighting for her. Lyra turned her gaze to the rooftop where her brother Jaren stood, watching with cold eyes. "You wanted me erased," she called, her voice steady, echoing through the storm. "But look at me now. I am not your shame. I am your proof that even shadows can shine." Jaren's face twisted, but before he could answer, the hunters charged together, dozens of them. Spears humming, blades raised. For the first time, Lyra stepped forward instead of back. She spread her hands, her shimmering outline flaring like a pulse of light. The hunters' visors exploded with static, their movements staggered. In that single heartbeat of confusion, David struck, cutting them down one by one with lethal speed. But still more came. Endless shadows pouring into the alley. David's breath was heavy now, his arm bleeding from a deep cut. Lyra's glow flickered as exhaustion pulled at her. Fear threatened to return. Then David's voice reached her, low but fierce. "Lyra, look at me." She turned, his glowing eyes locked onto hers, steady, unwavering. "I told you before. See you, not a curse, not a shadow. You, and if I see you, then the whole universe will too." Something inside her broke open. All the years of loneliness, of being ignored, of being unloved poured out in a single burst of light. Her body blazed with pure shimmer, not invisibility, not half vanish, but brilliance. Hunters staggered back, blinded, their weapons falling. Useless. Jaren shielded his eyes, his voice breaking with fear. "Lyra, what have you become?" Her tears fell, but her voice was strong. "Not what you feared, not what you hated. What I was always meant to be." The last wave of hunters collapsed, their visors shattered. The alley fell silent, smoke rising in the rain. David dropped to one knee, breathing hard, but alive. Lyra stood above him, her glow slowly fading back into her normal form. For the first time, she was simply herself, visible, real, undeniable. She looked at David, her voice soft but sure. "You saw me when no one else did, and because of that, I can finally see myself." David's lips curved into a faint, tired smile. "Told you, sometimes all it takes is one pair of eyes." And as dawn broke over the storm-washed city, the invisible girl was invisible no longer. She was seen. She was known. She was free.